All right, good morning, traders. Today's July 23rd, 2025. My name is John Carignan. I'm the lead instructor here at the BYOB Trading Room. That is the day trading service for the hit and run candlesticks family. Thank you for being here. Hey, I want to thank everybody out there in podcast land, digital land, cyber land. Thank you for following, liking, and my content out there on the internet. Appreciate that. Thank you, Kathy, Sarah, Roasted, and Bob Jordan. Thank you so much. All the kind comments, all the sharing. Thank you so much. I appreciate that a lot. It helps with the internet algorithm. All right, to help make me more popular. I really appreciate that. All right. Again, I try to provide actionable, profitable content every single day. All right, let's drill down. My SPY pivot this morning, 630.35. Above it, I'm a bull. Below it, I'm a bear. All of the Fab Five still in daily uptrends. SPY, IWM, and Diamond Dow made. Well, let me just say this. Everybody made lower highs and lower lows. All right? Everybody on the Fab Five. Closing, those three closed over bullish traps over their 17 EMAs. SPY closed with a really weak 2-hour uptrend cross, okay? It wasn't really an uptrend. It was just crossing, okay? So like a 2-hour uptrend crossing. And the same thing, 10-minute. We had a 10-minute uptrend, but it was on the verge of crossing, all right? So we got a 10-minute uptrend cross there, all right? On SPY 10-minute and the 2-hour. All right, QQQ made lower low, lower high. Of course, we already know that. Closed inside a bullish trap over the 17 EMA. FNGU made lower high, lower low. Almost a bearish engulfing move. All right, closing under a bullish trap, but over the 17 EMA. So it closed under a bullish trap. GLD, SLV, both in uptrends. Both made higher lows and higher highs. Closing over bullish traps over the 17 EMA. Silver made a new 13-year high. Okay, so there you go. That's pretty bullish. USO in a daily uptrend. USO made a lower low and a lower high, closing under a bearish trap under the 17 EMA. UNG in a daily downtrend made a lower low and a lower high, closing under a bearish trap under the 17. US dollar index still in a downtrend. We love that. Closed near the 97.38 area. SPY max pain for today, 628, with a put to call ratio of about 1 1/3 puts for each call that expires today at 4:15. All right, so I got CIFR is breaking out right now. AGLM is constructing the launch pad. I is still continuing with the construction of the launch pad. MBLY is kind of digging a grave. It's in a bear flag. All right, ready for another breakdown move on those three. We can take a look at CIFR. You can see that CIFR right there. Okay, so you can see here's the box. And came in with these two red candles here, so I took it off the list, and then you can see here's a nice breakout here today. All right, so I unstarred it because of these two red candles, two wicks up there, and then of course nice close up there yesterday on CIFR. All right, let's take a look at SPY. All right, here's SPY on the daily chart. Again, lower high, lower low, closing over a bullish trap, over the rising 17, up here, top of quadrant 4, up over that prior all-time high anchored VWAP. Okay, and it's bullish, and it's still in a daily uptrend. Still, yeah, see the 3 EMA on top of the 8 EMA, still in a weekly uptrend. Okay, see the 3 EMA on top of the 8 EMA, still in a monthly uptrend. Okay, so you got daily, weekly, monthly uptrend there. Okay, let's take a look at the 2-hour. Okay, that's kind of messy. I'm just going to take this off. All right, And I'm going to take this one off too. Okay, and I'm going to scoot in here, and you can see the 2 hour dipped underneath there, and then it started commencing a cross right up there, okay, on the 2 hour, commencing a 2 hour uptrend cross right there. Okay, if you look at it, just barely squeaks over the top. Okay, and price action, so that's I'll call it I'm just going to call it a 2 hour uptrend. You can see in the pre-market we're all the way up here. It's gonna cross, unless of course something comes out before 9:30 that crushes it back underneath VWAP. But anyway, there's 2 hour on the 10-minute chart. All right, you had a 10-minute uptrend. You can see we're commencing a cross, but of course you can see pre-market activity way up here. They're going to take that out. All right, so that's going to be a continuation of the 10-minute uptrend. Okay, so what do I like? Okay, let's just say, how did we make money yesterday? Okay, see this? First, we had a on the 10-minute chart, we had a 10-minute breakdown right here yesterday. Okay, on these 3 candles, 10-minute breakdown. So we traded a 10-minute downtrend with some puts yesterday. Wasn't much of a downtrend. It was more like a 3-minute downtrend, because you can see it only lasted 2 10-minute candles. And then we moved up and we started to consolidate, okay, right on or right just over VWAP here, okay. Okay, so we started to consolidate just over VWAP. All right, that was bullish for me. All right, so then we traded this 10-minute uptrend, all right into the close. Okay, that's how we made money. Okay, we traded a 10-minute uptrend right into the close right there. Okay, that's how we made money yesterday. All right, trading that 10-minute uptrend. Okay, so what do I like? I like 10-minute uptrend over VWAP. Okay, just like yesterday, 10-minute uptrend over VWAP. I like the 10-minute uptrend over VWAP inside a 2-hour uptrend. That's inside of a daily uptrend. That's inside of a weekly uptrend. It's inside of a monthly uptrend that's over the prior all-time high anchored VWAP. That's the trade I like the most. Okay, got all the wind in my sails. Everything's moving. I don't have anything working against me. I like that. That's my favorite trade. Okay, we're in a rare scenario right now where all of those are in uptrends. You got a daily, a weekly, a monthly. Okay, it's not all the time you have all of those at the same time. Sometimes there'll be a weekly, it's in a downtrend, while the monthly's still in an uptrend. Or you'll have a weekly and monthly still in a downtrend, but the daily's doing a pullback and is bullish, okay? So I like 10-minute uptrend over VWAP over the 2-hour uptrend. Inside the 2-hour uptrend, inside the daily uptrend, inside the weekly uptrend, inside the monthly uptrend, okay? All of those. Got everything pulling for me, okay? Got everything rooting for me, all right? They're all cheering for me to have success when I have that, because they're all, the forces of nature are working with me, all right? And the trading gods and everybody, okay? Just working for that 10-minute uptrend to continue rocking and rolling to the upside, okay? That's what I like. 10-minute uptrend over VWAP, all right, inside of all those uptrends right there, okay? SPY. Let's take a look at the game plan. And let's push a little bit of this around a little bit, okay? Got to push it around. All right. SPY pivot. 628.30, okay? So if we look at the context this morning, that should be 628.30, okay? Above it, I'm a bull. Below it, I'm a bear. Either way, 630.35, I think it's still bullish over that. Yes, it is, okay? So 628.30, above it, I'm a bull. Below it, I'm a bear. All right? Got a green erases red event. Of course, we're way over that right now, okay? Price entry, 629.45, way up over that. So this might be irrelevant this morning. We'll see. Maybe they have a pullback. I don't know. Okay, so 628.30, that's the pivot. First green erases red over 629.45. All right, pivot 628.30. Above it, I'm a bull. Below it, I'm a bear. Red erases green. Okay, underneath. Red erases green entry underneath 647.40. Okay, underneath 647.40 is a red erases green entry. What do I like this morning? 2 days till expiration, Friday options on the multiple of 5. 9 days till expiration, Friday options on the multiple of 5. I like the strikes that are $5 to $15 out of the money, okay? They're a little bit cheaper and they offer a little bit less risk. They're not going to give you the performance that a 0 DTE in the money option will give you, okay? That will give you almost penny for penny performance. This is not going to give you that kind of performance, all right? But then again, as long as you don't go overboard, all right, it's probably not going to blow up your account either, all right? I like 10-minute uptrends over VWAP that are breaking away from VWAP. You can see there's a 10-minute uptrend breaking away from VWAP, separating itself, cutting away from the brown line. That's the VWAP line right here on the 10-minute chart. I like 10-minute downtrends under VWAP that are breaking away from VWAP. Now, let me just say, if I get a 10-minute downtrend that happens to break a rubber band candle long before, up here, long before it even gets to the red erases green event down here, or entry, okay, at 647.40. If I get it and it breaks the rubber band candle, I'd be interested in trading that 10-minute downtrend way up here, all right, on a pullback to VWAP. All right, so I'm just saying, like, if I get a 10-minute downtrend up here, I'm not opposed to trading it, all right? But I got to recognize, all right, I am trading counter trend. The success of that trade might not last long, all right? If I get a 10-minute uptrend that happens to manifest or originate from down here, well under the first green erases red entry, I would be interested in trading that 10-minute uptrend, okay, over VWAP, okay, down here, or even on a pullback to VWAP, all right? A 10-minute uptrend that happens to manifest or originate down here long before it gets to the green erases red entry up here, okay? I'd be interested in trading that as well on a pullback back up to VWAP, okay? SPY 10-minute yesterday going long on consolidation. You don't want the 10-minute to free float from VWAP before taking a trade. 627.40. Yeah, that's right. Thanks, Alan, for catching that. That's 627.40 here on the bearish entry. Okay, 627.40 underneath here, not 647. I got to fix that on the game plan there. On the 10-minute, let me help me understand this. SPY 10-minute yesterday going to go long on consolidation. You don't want the 10-minute to free float from VWAP before taking the trade. No, because we already broke it here. All right, we already got a 10-minute uptrend that's making higher lows and higher highs. All right, we've already got, see the free floating candle here? All right, we already had it earlier. This was the free floating candle. It's not attached to VWAP right there. That's the free floating candle that was breached right there. Does that help you, Rickster? There's the free floating candle that was breached. Yeah, went long right over the base. Price broke out over the base on the top. You can see all the wind up here for about 3.5, 4 hours. You can see from 10 until 1:30. All right, so that's 1, 2, 3.5 hours, and then you had a breakout right here. Okay. Then we were up on top of VWAP. That was kind of bullish anyways, right there. Yeah. All right. So we got that. All right. Now I gotta fix the SPY game plan. All right. So that's what I like this morning. All right. I like 2 days till expiration. Friday options on the multiple of 5, 2 to 5 $5 to $15 out of the money strikes. All right. Again, I like 10-minute uptrends over VWAP, breaking away from VWAP. All right. Let's take a look at QQQ. All right. I don't know what happened. Okay, QQQ pivot, 561.50. Above it, I'm a bull. Below it, I'm a bear. Okay, QQQ, green erases red over 562.20. Okay, that's a green erases red entry for me over 562.20. Okay, green erases red. Red erases green underneath. See this tail down here? Underneath that tail. Okay. Price entry, red erases green underneath, 559.90. That's a red erases green entry right there on QQQ. All right, same thing. I like 2 days till expiration Friday options on the multiple of 5 that are strikes that are $5 to $15 out of the money. I like 9 days till expiration Friday options on the multiple of 5, strike prices $5 to $15 out of the money, and those are the ones I like for options. Okay, 9 days till expiration Friday options on the multiple of 5 with strikes that are $5 to $15 out of the money. All right, I like 10-minute uptrends over VWAP. I like 10-minute downtrends under VWAP. Okay, so that's QQQ. All right, let's take a look at QQQ on the daily chart. All right, you can see lower high, lower low. Again, they all got the lower high, lower low. Closing inside a bullish trap. See the 3 on top of the 8 over the rising 17 EMA. All the way at the top of quadrant 4, that's bullish. Making in an uptrend. Obviously, you can see the green dots. Just continue on here. You got a couple of lows here. You got a higher low. You got a couple of highs here. You got a higher high there. Okay, so there's QQQ, bullish and in an uptrend. FNGU. All right, FNGU, did that put in a new all-time high yesterday? I'm not sure. Let's see, a high there, 525.26, 525.23. Okay, it's a lower high, lower low, kind of a bearish engulfing move here. All right, closing underneath a bullish trap. Okay, notice the close down here. This is the bullish trap over the rising 17 EMA. Okay, price still moving up, holding the higher ground. That's bullish. Okay, got price action up here at the top of quadrant 4. Okay, consolidating at the very top, up here near the highs, over the all-time high anchored VWAP. Okay, so well over the upper thirds. Okay, so that's bullish, and you got a couple of lows here, you got a couple of higher lows, a couple of highs here, you got a higher high. So it's bullish and in an uptrend. FNGU, IWM. All right, see it moving up, consolidating over to the right. Lower high, lower low, closing just like SPY over the bullish trap, over the rising 17. Again, up over the all-time high anchored VWAP. That's the pink line. We're in the upper third. All right, so that's bullish in the upper third up there and in an uptrend. Got higher lows, higher highs. That's an uptrend, and we're bullish up here in the upper third, and love that, holding the higher ground. Diamond Dow, same deal, moving up, holding the higher ground up here. Again, price action, got higher lows here, lows here, higher lows there, couple of highs there, there's a higher high. That's an uptrend and bullish up here at the top of quadrant 4. See that moving up and planking, all right? That takes incredible amount of strength to hold that higher ground up there, okay? So price action is bullish and in an uptrend on all of the Fab 5. All right, let's take a look at technicals, T2122. Okay, you can see we started down here at the midpoint. All right, so we went airborne right into the buy zone, landed, and just camped out here in the buy zone all day long, right in the buy zone, drinking the bear's wine. Okay, so there's T2122. Let's take a look at 2123. Okay, T2123. Okay, bullish right out of the gate. Green from the beginning of the day all the way to the end of the day. Okay, no lunch. All right, just bullish all day. New rally high for T2123. Okay, it's in an uptrend. Okay, why? Okay, you got a low, you got a couple of higher lows. All right, you got a high, two highs right here, right there, and right up here. Higher high. Okay, so bullish and in an uptrend. T2123 up over the rising 200 SMA. All right, so look at the same product on the 3-bar chart. Got a low, got a higher low, got a high, higher high. All right, so that's uptrend on the 3-bar chart, up over the hooking 200 SMA, over these two prior all-time highs right there. Again, new rally high for T2123, all the way up here. Okay, this is the all-time high. Okay, you can see we're in striking distance of the all-time high right there. Okay, now you heard me talk about inflation before. All right, you know what inflation does. It sucks for us as a consumer, but let me just say, when the market is getting a higher price point for the goods and services that they sell, yeah, you can bet they're going to be taking in more revenue. Okay, more revenue should transcend into higher profits. Again, higher profits equals more earnings per share. More earnings per share means a higher price point for that security. And hence, when that happens, you get a growth or an expansion, all right, in the indexes. All right, so you can see I would be expecting a new all-time high. All right, we'll see how far we get. All we got left is this consolidation right through here. We've already passed through this low. All right, we just got to cut through this high, and that low. All right, and then we're on our way for attacking the all-time highs up here. Okay, just saying we're cutting through it all right now. All right, we've already cut through this high. We got two highs here. This low, that's a low. We got two highs here and that little consolidation. We cut through those, all right, and then all we're looking at now is the all-time high, all right? I'm expecting new all-time highs. We'll see. Well, I don't always get what I want, but that's what I'm expecting. T2123, that's the 3-bar chart, okay? FNGU. Okay, yesterday, day before was, you can see, buying from the beginning of the day to the end of the day. Yesterday, selling from the beginning of the day to the end of the day, all right? So we closed underneath, not really liking. I liked the bull flag. I don't like the bear flag, all right? So here we are back under the 200 SMA, all right? So as long as we kind of hold this area, if we look at this, price action has moved up. All right, price action moved up and it's holding the higher ground. Okay, that's a bullish environment. Okay, that is a bullish behavior. Okay, we've got a little trend line here. Okay, so this is still bullish right here, even though we had that bear flag yesterday. Okay, so that's holding that higher ground. That's bullish. Now, if they move up, give it up, that'll make them just neutral. Okay, you can see price action right there, dealing with the flat 200, waffling back and forth across. On FNGU, you can see price action up over the all-time high anchored VWAP. That's the pink line right here. All right, let's take a look at a few sectors. Let's start off with XLE. All right, XLE, again, has a habit of moving up and giving it up. Look at all the times they move up and give it up, okay? Look at all the times they move up over the all-time high anchored VWAP and just give it up. All right, so here's price action, lower high, lower low, closing under a bearish trap under the 17. That's bearish. Underneath downtrend line 1, but over downtrend line 2. Okay, so just neutral right through here. Okay, price action still in uptrend. Okay, got some lows, got some higher lows. All right, we have a higher high right there, so that is a uptrend for XLE. Again, not in the upper third, all right, because if it was in the upper third up here, this would be bullish. We're not in the upper third. Okay, not in the lower third, that would be bearish down here. Okay, so we're right in here. Okay, this is the neutral land right here. Okay, right inside the neutral land. Okay, so XLE neutral and in an uptrend. Again, struggling, all right, to hold the higher ground. Okay, and struggling with the all-time high anchored VWAP. We'll see what happens here. I still have hope for the XLE. Maybe not this year, though. All right, just saying. Take a look at USO. USO in an uptrend, all right. Price action showing a bear flag from this point. From this point, it's a kind of a bull flag over there. Remember, this was the Iraq shutting down the canal, all right, and therefore causing oil prices to spike due to cutting off supply, all right, global supply. So there's USO, all right, and we had a nice spike up in there. If we look at this, got a couple of lows here. Well, we got a couple of higher lows, okay? A couple of highs here, up over the 17, got a higher high. So we're still in an uptrend. If they happen to take out this low right here, all right, they will negate the uptrend and convert it into a downtrend. Right now, I kind of like it. It's up over this 3-year high anchored VWAP, all right? I like the idea that it's consolidating. We were in the upper third at one time up here, but we just couldn't seem to hold it. Again, price has a habit of moving up and giving it up. You can see right here, moving up, giving it up. But as long as it continues to make higher lows out of the moving up and giving it up, I'm all for it. Okay, so it's not really bullish. It's just neutral due to the fact it just keeps giving it up. It's finally holding over the 3-year high anchored VWAP. That's a good sign. All right, but we're not up in the upper third yet. Okay, we're close. We've been there for you can see 3 days. We were able to close in the upper third. That would be bullish. Okay, but you can see multiple days we just couldn't make it. All right, so there's price action for USO. It's in an uptrend. All right, but it's still neutral. All right, let's take a look at UNG. UNG showing you a head right here, and then we've got a right shoulder, this double top right there, right shoulder, double top here, left shoulder, and then you got a neckline running right through here. We came back, tested the neckline, failed to close candles up over that neckline. All right, so we have a bearish head and shoulders pattern playing out right now. Okay, you can see price action is in a downtrend. Obviously, you've got lower high. You can see there's a high, there's a lower high. Got a couple more lower highs. Got a low here, 4 lower lows here, and then even lower lows. So we're in a downtrend because we're making lower lows and lower highs. Okay, that's a downtrend. Okay, price action yesterday, lower high, lower low, closing underneath the bearish trap, underneath the 17. Down here in quadrant 1, that's bearish. Okay, remember anything down here in the lower third, that's bearish. All right, so there's UNG. These are the all-time lows right there. Okay, so this is bearish and in a downtrend, showing you the bearish head and shoulders right now underneath the neckline right there. Okay, so there's UNG, bearish and in a downtrend. All right, so if you got some stuff that's, no, can't really say that because it's a commodity. All right, let's take a look at GLD. All right, GLD, higher low, higher high, closing over the bullish trap over the 17. You can see price action for UNG, okay, obviously moves up and holds the higher ground. That's bullish. It's in an uptrend. It's up at the top of quadrant 4. It's making an attack on the all-time highs. All right, there's GLD on the daily chart, okay, bullish and in an uptrend. All right, if they happen to take out this valley low right here, they will negate the uptrend and convert the downtrend if they take out that valley low. All right? But keep in mind, as long as they hold the higher ground up here, All right, they're still bullish. Silver, same deal. Silver made a new 13-year high. Okay, right there, silver higher low, higher high. Closing over a bullish trap over the 17. You can see price action. Construct the launch pad. Okay, price moves up, constructs the launch pad, and then launches. Constructs the launch pad, and then launches. All right, so this is bullish up here, top of quadrant 4, in an uptrend, making higher lows. Here's a low, there's a higher low, higher low, higher low. Got some highs, higher high, higher high, higher high. So you got an uptrend going on and bullish all the way up here in the upper third, okay? Actually top of quadrant 4, that's bullish. Anytime you're up here in the upper third, that's bullish and in an uptrend for silver. All right, let's take a look at a few other sectors. SMH. All right, SMH got a lower high, lower low, closing under bearish cross, but over the 17 EMA, top of quadrant 4, still bullish and in an uptrend up there. Okay, SMH, XLK. Okay, same deal. Okay, closing inside a bullish trap. Again, top of quadrant 4, still bullish and in an uptrend. Let me take this out. I don't think I want that anymore. All right, still bullish and in an uptrend. XLF. All right, XLF moving up, holding the higher ground. Okay, you can see price action move up, create a launch pad, launch, and now it's holding the higher ground up here. That's bullish and in an uptrend. Up over that prior all-time high anchored VWAP. That's the pink line right there. Okay, price action. Let me delete one of these. Okay, so XLF bullish and in an uptrend. Got some lows. There's some higher lows. You got a high and another high. There's a higher high. So that's bullish and in an uptrend. Top of quadrant 4. All right, that's bullish. Let's take a look at IYT. All right, IYT in the upper third, so that's bullish, okay? Remember I said anything up here in the upper third, that's going to be bullish, okay? So that's bullish up here. And in an uptrend, okay, you can see price move up, create the launch pad, and then launch right there into the buy zone or into the bullish zone right up here. And I like the idea that it's holding the higher ground up there. Okay, so that's IYT. That's bullish and in an uptrend right there on IYT. Yesterday's candle, hey, not a bad candle compared to the market. Look at this candle. Higher low, higher high, closing over bullish cross. That's bullish. Over the 17 EMA, that's bullish. Up here in quadrant 4, up over the all-time high anchored VWAP. I like that. That's bullish. Take a look at the economic package. All right, US dollar in a downtrend here. Okay, you can see here's price action. All of these valleys right through here. Okay, that would be all these valleys represent major support. Okay, that was when price was up here. Okay, so we broke, all right, through major support. We came back and tested it, and we failed to hold the higher ground, so we went up and we gave it up. All right, so that makes us down here. So price action is in a downtrend. We broke major support. Of course, major support will now become minor resistance. All right, and you can see price action makes a series of lower highs and lower lows. You got a lower high, there's a lower low. Lower high, lower low, lower high, lower low, lower high, and a lower low. Okay, that's a downtrend. Okay, downtrend's great for investors and the markets, not so great for us as consumers. Okay, so US dollar in a downtrend. All right, that's going to be great for Bitcoin, gold, silver, anything like that. Okay, max pain for today, 628. Right here, max pain, 628 for SPY options that expire today at 4:15. Just the ones that You got 1 1/3 puts, about 1 1/3 puts for each call that expires today. So not much of a put squeeze on the table there. On the economic calendar, okay, we've got NBA mortgage applications at 7, existing home sales at 10, a petroleum report at 10:30. Tomorrow, jobless claims 8:30, Chicago Fed National Activity Index 8:30, PMI composite flash 9:45, new home sales 10 o'clock, gas report at 10:30. All right, durable goods on Friday 8:30, and a rig count at 1. All right, the main event this week is the earnings tonight from Alphabet. All right, so Alphabet reports tonight. That's about $2.6 trillion. And then we've got Tesla, $1 trillion for Tesla. IBM, $284 billion tonight. Okay, big tech reports tonight. T-Mobile, $284 billion, or 64. Yeah, 264 for IBM. T-Mobile, $264 billion. They're going to report tonight. ServiceNow, $198 billion. They report tonight. This morning, we got reports from AT&T, $197 billion. NextEra Energy, $156 billion. GE Vernova, $154 billion. Boston Scientific, $153 billion. Okay, Thermo Fisher, $152 billion. Amphenol, $125 billion, and the Chicago Mercantile Exchange at $100 billion, close to. All right, tomorrow we have Honeywell. It's going to report in the morning. They really should be tech. All right, but I guess they're looking at them as retail. That's $152 billion. They're going to report tomorrow morning. Total Energies, $140 billion tomorrow morning. Union Pacific, that would be transportation. All right, railways, $136 billion. Blackstone, $123 billion. I think that's investment banking, not positive. I know BlackRock is investment banking. Not sure about Blackstone. Intel is going to report tomorrow evening, $101 billion. All right, they're going to report tomorrow evening after the close. Okay, Newmont, $68 billion. They report tomorrow after the close. Friday. All right, we just got some familiar names, but nothing here that's going to move the markets. Not like tonight's price action coming up. All right, $4.6 trillion just from Alphabet. And then we got another trillion from Tesla. All right, BX, diversified private equity, credit hedge funds. Okay, thank you. That must be BlackRock. Let me go back to that one. Thank you, Blackstone. Yeah, Blackstone. Diversified private equity credit hedge funds. All right, good to know. Thank you, Robert. All right, that's it for me for today. Okay, so how are we going to trade SPY? Let's take a look where it's at now. Okay, I'll be back in like 40 minutes. Let's put the pre-market on. Okay, we got a wide pre-market range right here. All right, got a really wide pre-market range. So we mark off, all right, the overnight lows right there, or the pre-market lows. These happen to be the overnight lows, and we mark off the overnight highs. All right, so these are the overnight highs right there. Okay, a break of either one of those would constitute an entry. Okay, a breakout on the upside would constitute a bullish green erases red entry. A breakout on the bottom side would constitute a bearish red erases green entry. Okay, so right now, I got a feeling it may just waffle around in here for 4 hours or 3.5. Wait for the European session to close and break out like it did yesterday. That's a high probability that that's going to happen. We'll see, all right? And then going into the close, that's what I'd be looking for. Probably waffle around right in here within this range for the first 3.5 hours, and then maybe look for after 1:30, after the European session closes, look for a possible breakout. We'll see what happens. And you can see right there, that is, this is the all-time high. All right, that's higher than the all-time high in the pre-market. Okay, so chances are I'm going to block off the first 15 minutes, all right, of trading in here, and whoever breaks out of the block, that's probably the direction I'm going to go with. All right, again, recognizing that the all-time high will probably be a target for the breakout on the upside, and of course the pivot high right here will probably be a target on the low side as well as the gap fill. All right, so just stating that right now. Okay, so if we break out of the bottom 15 minutes and we hit gap fill and then we reverse, that's probably what's going to happen. If there's a 15-minute block right in here, all right, let's say it starts right there, we break out, all right, and we hit gap fill, it'll probably reverse right from gap fill and go back in the other direction. Okay, same thing as a breakout on the upside. If it hits this high, it'll probably come back down. All right, I'd expect it to probably waffle around between, well, that all-time high, all right, and the gap fill, all right, for probably 3.5, 4 hours, maybe longer, and then I would look for a breakout to the upside going into the close as we approach Alphabet earnings coming into the close. All right, that's the plan. All right, I will see you guys in about 40 minutes, and we will kick off the markets.